welcome back to Home Sweet Grown Garden. Today I want to do a quick garden walkthrough because everything is in the soil and everything is looking so good and ahead of schedule in compared to my last couple years of growing, which obviously I didn't record, but I do have a record of when I started things last year, how things progressed with a lot of photos and video clips, and that's how I've always kept records of my whole garden. So putting it on video is just another way of doing that, and essentially just journaling for myself how my garden does, and then it's time stamped automatically, which is really helpful. So I want to do that again today, and this garden is looking so good. I have to say, I'm so impressed and so excited for this gardening season. It's off to a really great start. Speaking of the garden doing so well, all the peppers are in the bed right behind me. I've went over this in a past video, but these are most of my hot peppers. In the beds in the center of the garden space are mostly sweet peppers, and then in individual containers, which I'll walk through in a second, it depends on the type and the height of the pepper plant, but there's hot and sweet peppers throughout the garden. I have an absurd amount of peppers this year. Last year, my goal was to get variety and try a bunch of different peppers that I've never tried before, and it was a really fun experiment. I figured out what I liked, what I'll never grow again, and this year I accidentally spent too many pots just kind of planting and then planting another type and then another type. So there's a ton of variety again this year, which wasn't really my intention. My intent was to get my tried and trues, focus on quantity of the types that I really like, and then make seasonings out of them, learn to can them, learn to pickle some peppers, things like that. But there's still a lot of variety and a lot of things I'm trying new this year. I'm not complaining. I love it. Peppers are my favorite thing to grow. So what's behind me are a couple super hots, which I wanted to mention real quick. I'm growing 2 Carolina Reapers and 2 ghost peppers, and this will probably be my last year to grow these things. Super hots are really hard to do things with. I think what I'm intending to do with the actual peppers when I harvest them is freeze them over the course of the season, and then either figure out a recipe with cheese involved with it, because I bought a ghost pepper cheese block from a local farm one time, and it was very good. So I think I want to do something with cheese, and then I want to potentially dehydrate a handful of, there's some birds that just landed over there. And then I want to dehydrate some and just make a seasoning out of it. Probably still too hot for real application in my kitchen, but we'll see. And then the rest of these are jalapenos, which really I did want an entire bed of them, and I have extra jalapeno plants that I think I might put in some individual containers. I started a ton of them, and the 2 that I'm growing are Tam jalapeno and Craig's Grande jalapeno, so I'm so excited about that. One thing you'll notice around my garden right now are just all the extra plants that I have, and that's a really good tally of how many I started and how too many is too many. So I have to figure out what pots to put those in or sell them or give them away. Also, I bought today from a local nursery a couple cute herbs, and by cute I mean they're not just your standard ones you find in a grocery store. This is a golden sage. I grew one of these last year and it got so out of hand in a green stalk, it got just huge, and I just love the way this looks. And while I'm not the biggest user of sage in my kitchen and for cooking purposes, I come by this plant every time I'm in the garden and just do that. And the smell just explodes, and it's on my hands, and I love it. So I got that. I got a purple sage, which I feel like I've seen before, but I've never actually purchased, and it kind of looks like there's 2 plants and maybe a potential 3rd little stalk coming out of the ground here. So I anticipate this getting pretty large, but a purple sage is something I've never had in my garden before, and I absolutely love purple in my garden. This is a golden oregano, one, again, I've just never seen. I I am obsessed with oregano. It's one of my favorite herbs ever. And this color caught my eye, and I just had to get it, so that ended up in my cart. And then the last thing I got was a rosemary plant, which I've already put in the pot. This walking onion is so wild. It's still just going and going. It starts as a kind of bulb up here. It explodes out. And you can see like every stage of it. It kind of just has these tentacles that come out, and they just get wild and more wild and more wild, and it's just such a bizarre looking plant. They're so fun. I did take one bulb out and use all the greens in a stir fry this week, and it was really oniony. And I think the best application, I've seen people do this quite a lot online, is use the greens for an onion top powder. So essentially an onion powder, but it's green, so it's not only more beautiful for culinary purposes, just from a visual standpoint, but it's super oniony. So I think I'm gonna do that next. All right, it's starting to rain, so who knows how long this tour will last, but here are all the peppers in their containers. And sweet peppers in the center, which are doing so well. And then down here we got our first Cosmo blooms. Two actually came up yesterday, and I picked those. And I gave one to my toddler and put one in my hair because that's just what garden girls should do. But those bloomed for the first time. We have so many more on their way. And the Johnny Jump Ups, of course, the star of the flower patch as of right now. The rain's coming down more. A couple funny things going on over here. I think what's blooming over here is borage from last year. I'm not entirely sure, but it came up quite a lot. There's one here, one here, one here, one here, one here. And this is where my borage was last year, so I might be mistaken. I just didn't think it bloomed enough last year to really reseed, but I'm thrilled to have whatever that is. And then it's surrounded by lettuce, which I'll give maybe another 2 weeks, and then I'm pulling all my lettuce out. It's just gonna get way too hot too quick. My chamomile's doing well. This hot mess bed is looking good and full. And then the lemon balm grew a couple inches, and you can see in the little pits of the branches, more branches, so this is about to get big and bushy so quickly. And what while I'm happy to see the lemon balm really glowing up over here, what I'm really excited about is the couple things I planted next to it doing quite well. This right here is one of the black bachelor buttons, and that's getting sizable, so I don't think it'll be shaded out too much where it won't bloom. And then there's a nasturtium right here at the very end that I want to trail over the edge of this bed, and that's getting quite tall and starting to really leaf out, so I'm happy to see those doing okay with the competition right now in that soil. Green stalks are doing wonderful over here. A lot of the pockets right now are lettuce, and as I showed you over there, I have some herbs that are in their little waiting room, not in soil yet, so they will go in some of these pockets where this lettuce is. That was really the intent, that I could use the space, grow something really early season, and then switch it out. But look, I have dill for days, and I'm so happy about it. I've always grown dill too late in the season. Same thing with cilantro, and it always pretty much insta-bolted. So this year I'm getting a lot of both, and I'm very happy about it. It's looking like a proper full green stalk. My other green stalk has little lettuces. Again, I kind of scattered the seeds at different times to essentially succession sow. So I have really, really small ones here, giant lettuce over there, medium lettuce over there. So I'll be able to kind of harvest at different times, which is nice. And down here, we have a lot of blooms in the strawberries from last year. I really regret taking my plants from last year out of my green stalk because I wanted to try restarting them. I fully regret it. I mean, look at look at these. I never ever should have taken those plants out. I was out of my mind, but we're already getting some little strawberries here. all throughout. These Alexandria strawberries are really, really small, but gosh, they are so flavorful and jam-packed with like, taste like a smoothie basically, but they're just lovely. I'm so glad that they're coming back. And then I put some bare root strawberries in that I got. I haven't really seen too much progress on these at all, but they're in here. So I don't know how they're gonna go. This has lettuce in there. I kind of just stuck it in there. I'm gonna pull the lettuce out shortly. So I was figuring it while it was, the bare root strawberry was still popping back up and coming back to life, I could still maybe stick those lettuce seeds in there. I don't know how I feel about these bare root strawberries. We'll see if they do anything at all. But even if they don't, I have pockets where, again, I have lettuce because it's coming out really soon. But this is a strawberry, the exact same type of as these giant ones. And this year they'll grow. Next year they will produce. So that's kind of my game plan for this green stalk. It's a weird, half successful, half restarting green stalk. By next year, it'll all look like this, and that's the goal. Another thing I got for myself, when I got the bare root strawberries, I got myself one more blueberry bush, and she's grown already. There were almost no leaves on it when I first got it. It was pretty kind of bare, like this stem and this stem with very small, tiny leaves, like about that size. So she's doing great. She's acclimating really well. I want to find the right big pot. Right now she's in a fabric container, which I love these. These are fantastic. I'd love to put her in a more permanent container that's much larger and like a beautiful blue pot. That's maybe even a little bit bigger than this one. So I don't want to shock the plant twice. So I'm going to let this blueberry bush do its thing probably this whole season, find the right pot this summer, hopefully maybe on a good sale, and then we'll see and go from there. But she's doing good. I'm so happy. A couple other notable things. I mean, first of all, look at that lettuce. Hello. I just can't get over it. It looks so good. I normally harvest them when they're a lot smaller, but this was a variety that really makes like a beautiful romaine lettuce kind of bunch. So I planted so much of it, so when I really wanted to harvest it, I would harvest the younger ones and let the big ones do what they do best, which is make this romaine style kind of bunch. And I just think it looks so beautiful, and it's huge. And then right next to it, the peas are starting to bloom finally. We have some flowers that are blooming as well. Things are going along quite well. This has honestly been a weird spring for peas. Normally, I don't have so many plants out by now. So I don't know. It got hot so quick this season. I can't tell if the peas are loving it or struggling a little bit. To be totally honest, they're doing quite well. They're growing, obviously, and getting taller every single day. They're really jumping up, but not a whole lot of blooms where maybe I'd expect to see a little bit more. So I'm hopeful because peas are my early spring snack. Like, this is my garden snack. I usually have baskets full by now, I feel. So maybe I started them too late. Maybe it got hot too early. I'm not entirely sure. I'd really love to see those do really well though. All right, moving right down and along. What I did in my tomato row, so on the other side of this tomato row, as you can see, there's tomatoes here, some black and yellow ones. Those are the tomatoes that I gravitate towards. I love the dark color of the purple, reddish, dark red tomatoes, but I love the flavor of yellow tomatoes the most, slicers in particular. So those are doing really, really well. They're already shooting off some nice stems. So I'm gonna keep them pretty pruned to 1 or 2 stems each. But they have already grown 6 inches since I planted them in, and they're doing really well. So they are about to hit the height of the trellis that they're on, which is really good because that means I can start supporting them a little bit better. and they'll really start shooting up this whole entire height of this cattle panel. Look at this oregano. She's beautiful this year. Very bushy. Some more lettuce. I mean, that's just beautiful. That is food art, in my opinion. I also placed all around some purple basil. I love basil, but I think I overdid it one year and ate everything with basil. Like everything. And I basiled myself out. But what I will not sacrifice ever in my garden is having weird basils. So normal, like Genovese green basil is fantastic, but there is something so beautiful about bright purple basil as garnishes, or I'm trying lettuce leaf basil. I think there's one in here too, right back there. It just looks a little different. So those will be scattered throughout. I have one up there. This is a Genovese normal basil, your typical basil you get from a grocery store. And then that is a black opal basil. How pretty. I love herbs that you can get in different colors. That is just the most fun. There's the tomato row. She's beautiful. So tomatoes are on this side, and then this side I was originally just gonna keep for flowers and herbs and kind of do a wall like I've done in the past. However, I overpeppered myself. So, like I was mentioning, overpeppered. So instead, on this side, I have cayenne peppers. I've got 2 red, 2 purple, and 2 orange lining this side, and they're doing fantastic. As you can see, I've already got peppers on here. Obviously it hasn't changed colors yet, but I'm very excited to see their progress. There's some more as well. We love to see it. The garlic in this bed is doing what looks like really good. Some of these stalks are really, really thick. And I think I'm gonna reduce some of my watering because I don't want to see any cracking. Like I see a little crack here. I'm really new to garlic, so I'm trying not to over baby them. I think that's sometimes part of the problem. I do want and need to fertilize these, and I'd like to do it 1 or 2 more times before I really just let them do their thing and fully mature, so I can harvest in June. So I think I'd like to do 2 more rounds, 1 this weekend and then 1 in about 3 more weeks of fertilizer, and then kind of be done and let the garlic do what it's got to do. I think that's the best way. But these things are pretty dang chunky and big. I'm too afraid to move the soil. I just want them to do what they got to do. Snapdragons are almost blooming. Look, 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 look. Oh my gosh, I love snapdragons. These ones look like the really dark purple ones. Maybe the white and red ones, potentially. Oh my gosh, there's so many of them. I'm so excited. I love snapdragons. This is a great example of a flower that does so well in a corner of a bed. Like this is just an empty spot where nothing would be here because it's too close to the edge for like real good root development. But instead of it being bare, just beautiful flowers that come back every single year, and they get huge and will just be such a nice way to enter, you know, because this is an entrance to my garden. Just so beautiful, and they'll get tall, they'll get sizable. Here's the other peppers, grouped by 2. I added 1 more Jimmy Nardello. I just decided I can't give that one away. So now I have 3 of them. Everything else is pretty much grouped by 2s. And then I have my Roma tomatoes back here. They'll just kind of have a wall to climb up, and then, I don't know, we'll see how they go. I don't really know if they'll do well over here. It gets a lot of direct sun, so TBD, but we'll see. These 2 goji berry plants, I almost threw out this season. This was one of the first plants that I thought was going to be such a cool thing to grow, because I find it so cool to grow things in my garden that you can't really get easily or are very expensive at the grocery store. So goji berries are really expensive, and they're supposed to be this super healthy, you know, super fruit type thing, and they are. I really can't stand the taste of them. But they put off, and I don't really see any blooms on there right now, but I might have a picture of them. If so, I'll put it on the screen here. But they put off these really, really cute flowers, and then the berries are just so low maintenance, and they grow, and then when they're ripe, they're bright red, which is super easy to find on the plant. You don't have to search around for them. They're just super accessible. And what I've really done in the past, because I'm not really the biggest fan of them, is I'll harvest and just stick them in a Ziploc bag in the freezer. And then when I do make a smoothie or something, I'll just toss them in the smoothie with everything else. The flavor's not really coming through, but I guess the health benefits are. It's just, again, I don't want to waste the fruit. I'm growing it. So I definitely have a love-hate relationship with this plant, but they do fine. I don't have to fertilize really. I don't have to do much of anything. They come back even after seasons of neglect. I mean, I guess they're here to stay. I don't know. They're really not taking up any space that would be super critical for something else. They're in fabric grow bags doing just fine. So I topped them up with some compost, gave them a new layer of mulch, and they seem really happy. So they're here. Alright, so that's pretty much the garden right now. There's really not that much else to report on. A lot of things are just getting started, but they're doing really, really fantastic. I am seeing so much color in the garden. There's so much green. There's so many peppers that are already fruiting that are different colors. I'm seeing really dark purple flowers and dark purple peppers starting to form. I'm seeing flowers on the pea plants, which is really exciting. The garlic is getting sizable. The lettuce is thriving in all this sun. It's really starting to get into garden season, and this is when it feels like I've already done a whole lot of hard work, but this is when the hard work starts to pay off, because I start to come out with a basket and fill it up in just no time. Maybe in the next 2 weeks I really feel like I'll even get to start harvesting, especially these peas, a lot of lettuce. Herbs are starting to grow inches, it feels like, every other day. I come out and I'm like, that grew bigger. That's pretty cool. So I think in no time we'll really get to start harvesting and getting to enjoy more of the garden. One of the biggest differences that I'm noticing early season this year compared to my past year's gardening is the plants that have come back from last year are growing so much faster, so much more vigorous, which of course you hear things that reseed and come back are because they've acclimated to the weather. And I really put this garden together 2 years ago, but things didn't really reseed the first year, and I was still getting everything established. So the things that have come back this year, I'm really for the first time seeing it hands-on, how vigorous plants that were there last year, reseeded and or just overwintered, how well they do when they come back. So I'm hoping for so much more of that this year. I'm gonna let a lot more plants go to seed in my garden this year than maybe I did in the past, because I was really trying to harvest every leaf and every, you know, tiny little stem and plant, because I was so obsessed with harvest, which I still am, obviously. But I want things to get more established this year, so next year we see even more of that. But it's such a good feeling to see the plants that you planted in past years come back and be so happy to be here. It just feels full circle. It's so nice to see. So that's it for at least this quick kind of tour. Nothing too major. In future tours we'll do some chores and some harvesting together, but as of right now it's just a status check on how good everything is growing, and there's not too much space left in this garden at all. So, you know, I'll plan to do some things where the lettuce is coming out in the next few weeks, put in some of these herbs that I got, so I can do that on camera, and then we'll just kind of keep an eye on everything and see see next steps for trellising a lot of these plants and taking care of them, pruning, all that good stuff. So much more to come. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you in the next one.